90 AM, 95.9 FM, streaming worldwide at kelpradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the Borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I am your host, Andy Frecka. Today we have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board. Mac Daddy, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Andy, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
My vocabulary, my lexicon, so to speak, is painfully poverty-stricken. I struggle to describe the wonder and joy that I experience each and every weekday afternoon as we've embarked on this educational journey, as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Yeah.
And I enjoy working at a radio station. Do you enjoy working at a radio station, Mac Daddy?
Yes, I definitely do.
Were you enjoying it an hour and 15 minutes ago?
Actually, I do.
Yeah?
I do.
Well,
I had missed that stress since we did our first swap over to our new automation system.
Yeah, I just want to say it wasn't our fault.
It wasn't.
It just felt so good that it wasn't
for
our fault.
Once.
That never happens.
Once, yes,
so for those of you who listen throughout the afternoon, we have Faith and Finance between 2 and 3, and then In the Market with Janet Partial between 3 and 4. Two fantastic programs that we are proud to have as part of the lineup at this radio station. But about 2:45, well, we don't know what happened with our satellite feed, but it wasn't our fault. And so we popped in my interview with Janet Partial last hour. So I hope our listeners aren't tired of listening to me.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, you work here. Of course you wouldn't think so, right?
I mean, I listen to you all day long.
Yeah.
I'm not tired of you.
But running an organization or even running a business, it can be an adventure, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you were to say to me, Andy, you need to go on a mission trip to Papua New Guinea and go on a hike into the jungle and meet some Stone Age tribe, I would feel one thing.
Okay, what's that?
Excitement.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right? If you were to tell me, Andy, you need to run a business, I would feel one thing.
Oh, what's that?
Concern.
Oh, really?
You see, here's the deal, Mac Daddy Del Norte, and I say this as someone who's been in missions most of my adult life, pretty much my whole adult life. It's not just the missionaries or the heroes. Everyone who's out there doing what the Lord has called them to do is a hero.
Oh, yes. Amen
and being a missionary can be hard. I don't mean to discount that. It can be. I've been there. But running a business can be hard.
Yeah, I bet.
It can have its own set of challenges. We can learn from that. God can teach us through that. He can show us his faithfulness. Amen, Mac Daddy?
Amen. Yes.
Yeah, so today we have two very special guests with us.
Oh, okay.
Do you know why they're special?
Yeah, because they're the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Oh, that's true. You speak truth, Mac Daddy Del Norte. Also, they're with Truvize Financial Planning.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Truvize Financial Planning?
I have.
Yeah, we mention them about 30 times a day on this radio station.
That is so true.
So if people are looking for financial planning, they should learn about Truvize.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But today we're going to be talking about their business experience.
Okay, cool.
Here in El Paso.
Cool.
Have you ever heard of Glide?
Glide. No, actually, I haven't.
Not the deodorant, Mac Daddy. What about Breaking 100?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
actually.
Yeah, I was telling them when they came in that my son, my 17-year-old son, is bankrupting me right now at Breaking 100, right as we speak.
Oh, how so?
We'll find out.
Okay.
See, that's what's called a teaser, so people keep on listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about the fun, the challenges of starting businesses, and specifically here in El Paso.
Nice.
So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to Drew and Jonathan of Truvize Financial Planning. Drew and Jonathan, welcome back.
Andy, what's up? How are you? How's it going?
Happy New Year.
You too.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we spent December and November just reminding everyone to be smart about money. And I hope someone listened to us. It is interesting. You think about this year. This is going to be the year I'm not going to overspend on presents. And then you see that idea for a present, and you think of the smile on that person's face, and you forget about the plan. So I hope people remember the plan, because we talked a lot about this. You don't want to spend the rest of 2026 paying off 1 hour of fun on December 25th. Right. That is not why Christ came to earth.
No, that's right.
Not at all. He came to pay our debts. So anyway, we're not going to be talking about financial planning so much today. And we're going to be talking about how the two of you started a couple businesses here in El Paso. And like I said, when you came in, one of those is bankrupting me currently. So I'm glad I have the chance to just talk about that. But from what I understand, both of these businesses you started, you founded, and then you ran it for a while, and then you sold them, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Okay. So which one are we going to start off with, Glide or Breaking 100?
Glide was first.
Glide was first. Let's go with Glide.
Glide.
Okay, so Jonathan, paint a picture for us. There's Jonathan and Drew.
Yeah.
And you guys are like, we got to do something.
Yeah, so I'll
Well, I said no at first, just to say that.
So back in both businesses, actually, kind of the idea came from my wife and I were traveling and coming across something that we thought would be cool. So back in 2018...
Was it the inability to walk down a sidewalk because there's scooters everywhere?
Almost.
No.
So 2018, we're in San Diego with who was the other partner. It was myself, Drew, and Ernie was our other partner for both businesses. But my wife and I and him and his wife were with us in San Diego in 2018. It was the summer of 2018. And nobody had, other than San Diego, nobody had ever seen what we came across, which is these electric scooters that were just left in random places all over downtown and along the beach and boardwalk in San Diego.
Right.
And we saw a few the first couple days, but as we were there longer, we'd see businessmen in suits riding a scooter down the main downtown street. Yeah. And it was weird to see it. And one of the times we were down on the boardwalk, we were like, we gotta check this out.
Okay, I got to stop you right there. Yeah. I've seen businessmen in suits riding scooters. And I just wanted to say for our audience, these businessmen who are wearing suits and riding scooters look way too serious. They're never smiling.
Yeah.
They're never smiling. That has nothing to do with your story, but I just feel I need to interject there. Anyway, please continue.
I think the funny thing is what you're talking about is some people were using them for actual transportation.
Yes.
And then others along the boardwalk were just using them for joyriding and fun.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So when we were up there in boardwalk and
serious scooter
ride to my next meeting.
Yes.
So we walked up to him. We saw there's this little tag hanging from a scooter, and it walks you through what you do. You download this app.
Okay.
These were Lime. That was the name of the company. So you download the Lime app.
Okay.
You sign a user agreement. You enter payment info, and you use the app to unlock the scooter. It uses your camera. It scans a QR code, unlocks the scooter, and you can ride it wherever you want for however long you want.
As long as you return it back.
Okay,
you can leave
you do not have to return it back where you got it. You can ride it wherever you want.
Yeah.
And when
there's not an outside border?
There not back then.
Yes.
That was the Wild West.
So you could just do whatever the heck you wanted.
Okay. All right.
You'd get to the destination or wherever you were going, or you're done riding, and you end the ride in the app, and it charges you for however long you rode it.
Okay. So you see this in San Diego. And you come back to El Paso, and you're like,
"Well, I'll tell. Let me get there, Andy. Come
okay.
here.
No, and you're like, Drew, we should have a boardwalk and an ocean in El Paso.
So I'm riding. I thought this was amazing. We did it 2 days, and then we're on a ferry from San Diego to. Now I'm forgetting the. Now I'm forgetting the El Dorado. I think.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're on a ferry. We're on a ferry, and I was telling Ernie and my wife, man, can you imagine if they had those at UTEP with the parking that we have to deal with, and you have to park miles away, and you could just ride one of these to the College of Business, to College of Engineering, to wherever.
So I'm new to El Paso. I don't know this pain point.
UTEP is an extreme pain point. So there's not now there's more.
Okay.
But since we're old,
Okay.
20 years ago, there was not big parking garages like they have now.
Oh.
So if you didn't pay hundreds of dollars a semester to get really good parking spots, you're parking in the streets, up Rim and up Schuster and up all the streets there around Mesa. And you're walking miles just to get on campus.
Literally miles.
Yes.
Yeah, literally.
And then
Yeah,
another
Rim's not
mile
super
to
close.
No. And then another mile to the edge of campus to the UGLC or to wherever.
Wow.
So walking and parking is a big issue for UTEP.
Especially when it's hot outside.
Yeah.
Or raining or windy.
Yes. Yes.
Or just
Or
if
up a mountain.
Like or
down a mountain.
Or if there's a mountain there, or if there's just weather
Yeah.
of
Yes,
any kind.
absolutely.
Yes.
So that was the initial idea of like, man, can you imagine? And then we kind of forgot about it. Then we came back into town and the idea started percolating a little more and started to look up, hey, this isn't just in San Diego. Now they're starting to launch in other places. And Austin was the first big one in Texas around UT.
Okay.
But it was all in this first few, like summer to winter of 2018. It started exploding out of nowhere. So we were really early.
Very early.
Okay.
Very early.
So not to cut too much off the story, but then so we talked to Drew, said, look, we have this idea. Drew said no.
That's my MO. I'm always like a no first with good ideas.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that's important to talk about because
Sure.
you're working as partners. I assume you're friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I tend to be the Jonathan. Like everything is going to work out great.
Well, I'm not that.
Oh, you're not that.
I'm not that.
Oh,
But this
was
I
it.
said, man, this could be something. And then I'm doing the math on the number of rides and the number of kids at UTEP and how much it would actually cost just to start this thing. And like I'm really going all out on these numbers and thinking this could
And
be
Drew
something.
is just like, this is not going to work.
And so when I initially approached that with him, I think it took some time to digest the things I was saying.
Because he hadn't been to San Diego.
Exactly, hadn't ridden them either.
Yeah,
No,
because
I hadn't
was
ridden
no
them.
Yeah,
idea,
because
like,
if you go to
it
San Diego,
sounds-
the math doesn't even matter. It's beautiful,
Not
right?
only that,
Yeah.
Andy, it sounds like we're doing financial planning and serious work. And I'm talking about an electric scooter business.
Uh-huh.
It sounds crazy. And it sounds like this
doesn't sound
what?
serious. Yeah.
Yeah, and how much time is it going to take? How much money? But I knew that this could be something big, and we were early enough.
We were. Yeah.
So once we all decided, okay, let's do it. I think the first thing that we did was let's just buy a scooter or two, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So during that time, the only way there's no companies manufacturing scooters
No,
in
and-
mass for scooter rental companies.
Really?
Nothing. We had to
No.
just buy a ES1, ES2 scooter 9-bot, which if you look up Segway 9-bot,
Okay.
we found one online and
I think
bought
it was
one.
the first one was Sam's.
No, it got
it was
shipped.
okay,
Shipped to my
okay.
house. Never forget. Just a regular scooter, and you turn it on, and I rode it. We went to their house. They rode it, and our first issue was, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Well, you had to come up with obviously brand whatever of the company, which is a huge deal. That was a whole other story. But how do you create an app that can then do what those other companies did?
Charge, unlock the scooter, lock the scooter, track the scooter, GPS.
How do you jailbreak the Segway scooter so that we could then control it from an app on our phone?
Right.
Again, we are not, Drew's much more IT than me, but even then, we don't know how the heck to do any of that.
Right.
And that was a story in itself. I'll let Drew go into a little more of who we're having to talk to and teleconferences and
So-
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Jonathan goes to San Diego. He has a beautiful experience, which is surprising just given what San Diego is like. You know, we're from El Paso, and this is the greatest city in the world, but you went to San Diego, and
It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
And you saw the scooters, you saw the scooter business, you come back, and you're like, I've done the math, it's going to work. And Drew, what was this like for you?
Well, I mean, I'm always like a
Debbie Downer.
No, not a Debbie Downer, but I'm scared to make commitments for my time.
Okay.
That's what it ultimately came down
Gotcha.
to. But Jonathan's very convincing. Obviously, he's convinced me multiple times. So, but we were so early because literally Bird, the big player, Lime, the other big player, they had just launched, that there was no infrastructure. There was no... there was no operational ease in executing it. Everything was up to you to figure out and do. I went on a trip to Phoenix. They had some in Phoenix, and I was taking pictures of the competitor scooters, trying to figure out what each part was, what it was for. We were downloading the app, and then we actually found a white label app maker called Joyride. Shout out to Joyride, based out of Toronto, Canada. And they had a pre-made app that you could pay a fee for. And then they had a team that was based out of India, so ours were weird. And a bit of a communication barrier that was a challenge to work through. But we spent months with them on the phone, hacking scooters, building out the app. And I mean, Jonathan at one point even had to bring in a client that was an engineer at White Sands to come in and program these... These compute, because you're hacking it to work with the app.
Yes. So let me paint this picture for you.
I can't believe that there wasn't a ready-made option.
Well,
no, we were that early.
It just didn't exist.
We were that
yet.
early.
Okay.
And there was
and you looked around the world.
No. I'm saying we were one of the first in the world to do this.
Yeah, we were calling companies in Hungary. We were calling companies all over the place trying to find the technology.
So I'll paint you a funny picture here of. By this point,
hacking scooters with Jonathan and Drew.
Yeah. By this point, we had already, because we'd worked with Joyride on the app and the way that things would work, we knew, okay, we're going to do this. This is all out. Here we go. We had already done the math on how much money it was going to cost to buy 100 scooters.
Okay.
Everything that was going to be used for the GPS components, et cetera. We've already done all this. On the GPS side, real quick, we had to figure out how do you mount this GPS unit onto this scooter. And because again, Bird and Lime had done it, but they're massive. They were raising money in the hundreds of millions and then ultimately in the billions of dollars in valuation. So they're raising 25, 50, 75 million dollars at a time. They're manufacturing parts to fit. We are three dudes in El Paso scraping together money.
Whittling GPSs out of cactuses.
So we got the guy who ended up helping us with our marketing and branding, which our branding was fantastic.
Phenomenal.
A company called Aiden James,
Shout out
Jacob
to
Pacheco.
Aiden James. Yeah.
I mean, it made the company look on par with the Limes and the Birds, even though it was just us here in El Paso. Awesome. Well, his dad was a welder and a metal worker, and we worked with him to weld and create this little plate that would screw onto the front of the scooters, and then we'd attach the GPS unit to the front of the scooter. And he had to go back and weld and make 100 of those.
Was it pleasing to the eye?
It was.
It was not bad.
They were not bad. They looked pretty good.
Yeah, because the way you're describing it, I'm picturing like this.
No.
You know, someone nailing a metal box.
I wish
we have pictures and stuff.
What we got to do on one of these days on a podcast is go through some pictures and videos, because by the time we got to full ready launch, ours looked just as good or better than any of the big boys.
Okay.
So, but we're doing that. Then we already ordered the scooters. We got the scooters. One of Drew's other clients allowed us to rent a small space in their huge warehouse. So the probably one of the most stressful times when we were putting this together, and we had set a launch date. We're going to launch on this date in 2019.
Okay.
And so we got all the scooters, we got all the pieces, the brackets, we got all the GPS units, all of that. And we are all there in this warehouse at night saying it's going to be an all-nighter because we're getting everything together. And yes, like Drew said, I had to call one of my clients, an engineer at White Sands, and him and two of his other engineering buddies came with their computer, and it's these special ports that I don't even remember what they're called.
It's a whole nother world.
Military grade attack scooters.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we should have done. That would have been real successful.
It's these special ports that go into the scooter, And then it brings up, I don't even know what the actual.
I mean, the scooter has a CPU
Python.
and it has programming, and so they just
Right.
reprogramming it to communicate with our app.
So they're talking to the scooter on their computer. We have no idea what the heck's happening. And at the same time, we're waiting until late at night to get the person or the people in India to help walk us through how you do this.
I feel like the people from India just randomly showed up to this conversation. They were not previously introduced.
Oh yeah,
Drew talked about it earlier.
Oh,
that
he did?
we needed to. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they're
missed-
part of that
I
company,
apologize.
Joyride.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that was the Joyride people.
Yes.
Which
They're
again,
India.
programmers.
So we have India, we have Hungary, we have White
Canada.
Sands, Canada. Okay.
So I'm telling you, global thing.
Lots of China
Lots
Lots of China.
Yes.
Okay.
for the scooters. But-
And even the Joyride people and these people in India that were doing the programming, because we were one of the first ones to do it, they didn't even fully know the way this actually worked, and they thought, oh, well, try this and try that. Oh, this step should work. Oh, this should work, and it wasn't working. And to tell you the stress of that
Yeah.
time, especially because at that point it's been like we've spent tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay,
We're here at this
let
point.
me ask you. Okay, so I feel the stress. You bought how many scooters? 100? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Were you financing this out of pocket?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We bootstrapped both businesses.
Yes.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so at that point, we're $70,000-$80,000.
Right.
Just three of us pulling
Okay.
money to get to that point right there.
So that's one point, and then this is Christian radio, so I have to ask: you're both church-going men of faith. Were you praying? Was that a part of this, or were you just stressed out?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, when I came and talked to them, I was like, this could really be something, and I feel totally even though this is crazy, I feel totally at peace
Yeah.
that we didn't just go over there, San Diego at the time for nothing. This could be something.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you're not stressed out and thinking,
Right.
maybe I was wrong because this is insanity,
Right.
and I don't know if we're going to be able to do
I
it.
have 100 scooters in a warehouse that I'm welding with White
Yeah,
Sands.
Exactly.
Guys, and-
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so we got our whole fleet ready, but then we ran into there's two major barriers in that industry, and the first has to do with local government.
Okay.
So we wanted to go the route of working with the local government, not just coming in, dumping scooters, but going about things the right way.
Because that had not been the modus operandi for all the other scooter
Right.
companies.
they just came in. Local legislation had not yet reached
No.
the technology.
Definitely not.
It
And
was
so
the
what
Wild
was
West.
happening was
Yeah.
Bird especially, they were the most aggressive. Bird would just go to a city or a campus and just put scooters out in the middle of the night and then have social media presence. They'd hire people and kind of educate through social media. Plus, you almost didn't need to educate when you put a scooter, or let's say you line up
that's great.
10 beautiful looking scooters in the corner of downtown. Somebody like us the first time is going to walk up and say, what's
Sure.
this?
Yeah.
And there's a little tag and it tells you
Yeah.
what to do.
Okay.
So that's what Bird was doing. They were just going dropping scooters, and people would then ride them around downtown, and then city council in that particular place would say, what the heck is this? We've never seen
Yeah.
this before. Wait a minute. What are you guys doing? We need to stop. And then Bird would come to them and say, okay, let's talk. And they'd figure out a permit and a way to get it
Oh,
going.
interesting.
But it was attack first and then ask questions later.
Okay, so you guys were focusing on UTEP more than downtown?
Not at first. Again, the point was UTEP is still under the jurisdiction of El Paso. So you
Right.
still have to get the city of El Paso
Right.
permission to do anything at UTEP.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, okay.
So it's still El Paso first.
Right, okay.
But again, our goal was we were going to have everything ready, do a big press conference, and then talk to city officials and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. And we had our press conference. Jonathan had his first meeting. I got stuck in traffic and left him hanging with city council and city
Well,
leadership.
remember, Drew, we had the big first press conference.
Yeah.
KFOX, CBS,
Yes.
everybody's there.
Everybody
El Paso
was there.
Times,
It was
packed.
crazy.
It was awesome.
KELP.
KELP.
Yeah, I know.
No, we weren't around yet. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. At the time, everybody. But now,
Yeah.
of course, KLP would be there.
Yeah.
So everybody was there. It was a huge thing. We're all excited. 3-4 days later, we happened to be downtown,
Yep.
and somebody rode past us on a scooter that wasn't ours. And all of our collective hearts dropped.
Oh my gosh,
I thought,
devastating.
I wanted to cry standing right there on the street. Because what had happened, it got so much press and attention that Bird said, "Oh, El Paso." And they just went and dumped them.
In 3 days?
Yes.
And we had literally spent like 8 months pushing everybody to their limits to try and beat the big guys coming in.
We got to beat them. Before they figure out about
Yeah.
El Paso and UTEP, we got to be there.
Wow.
Yes, so that was awful. But then we had already started having these conversations with city council and other people in government, and they were able to say, no, get them off the street, and we're going to have a whole conversation. But that was the next step of level of stress of like, holy smokes.
So you thought you were walking in with no competition. 3 days later, you found out you already had
the
competition.
biggest with the deepest pockets.
Wow.
So.
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask just in extremely simple terms, like what's the napkin math on this? What's the cost of a scooter? And what is the cost like it per hour or mile or
it's
whatever?
$1 to start, and then we started off at 15 cents a minute, and then we ended up at like 20 or 25 cents a minute after that.
Okay.
So, I mean, an hour-long ride, you may spend like $20 or so.
Mm-hmm. But people normally are going for 5 minutes.
No. So again, it's
average
something
ride time was like 7 minutes.
But when we're talking about entertainment downtown, it was much longer.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
surprised
the
by
next
that.
part. We're jumping ahead. But
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's how the business evolved.
Okay. And then how much does a scooter cost that has been hacked and welded together?
Like $250.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 300.
Oh, I was picturing something way more than this.
No, the new ones that we would use towards the end were between $600 to $700.
Okay. And then you can leave it wherever you want.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I might be jumping ahead, but how are you charging these scooters if they're just left everywhere?
Yeah. So that initial warehouse that we had talked about, they let us use. It was a blessing for the fact that that particular company was specialized in electricity and charging things, and they're an electrician company. So we were able to work with them to get in that place enough amperage and enough outlets to be able to charge 100 scooters at a time. That in itself was a little bit of an undertaking because you don't realize how many amps a scooter pulls, and if you have 100,
I don't realize how many amps a scooter pulls.
well, you have no
People don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, most
You know what I
places
mean,
yeah, but most places couldn't. You can't just plug in 100 scooters at your house. And most
Bro,
businesses
of
couldn't
course.
just
Yeah.
And again, things you don't think of.
Yeah,
and
I'm just not thinking of that.
I think that's something, an aside, that's something we learned doing this in every business and in everything we've done is when you think you've thought of everything, you've probably thought of half. When you think you've counted everything, it'll probably be double.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it usually weirdly ends up kind of being that.
And the best business skill, in my opinion, that you can develop is problem solving. Because there's going to be a ton of them. And it doesn't matter how much planning you do and everything of that sort. You just have to be good at solving problems. And if you're partnering with people, you want to partner with people who are good at solving problems as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, with Jonathan and Drew, good friends of this radio station, of 915 Talk, and in the past, we've always had conversations about financial planning because it's Truvize Financial Planning, Truvize.com, TRUVIZE.com. We've talked about retirement planning, insurance, all these different subjects in the past, but today we're talking about your journey in business. Do you ever do like business consulting? I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that question.
Not like directly business consulting, but it definitely comes up and is regularly discussed with our business owner clients.
Okay.
Because of our experience. That was one of the biggest things that came from Glide and from Breaking 100 was that the skills that we developed, being not just owners of businesses, but owner operators.
Right.
And understanding the inner complexities of everything from closing a cashier and balancing your books to programming scooters and dealing with employees and these things that small business owners and business owners in general have to deal with on a daily basis, and the nuance that provides.
Right.
Being able to speak intelligently and through experience because of those things that we did and have done, it really makes us a bit unique. When it comes to the financial planning side.
Yeah,
so.
it's super fun to hear these stories because when you're talking financial planning with a business, we've talked a lot about tax planning for businesses. It's not something that you read in a book or sat in a classroom and just learned about.
Right.
You've lived through it yourself. We have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what do you see out on the roads this afternoon?
Couple of crashes going on right now, Andy. First of all, on the west side, let's go there because we have Love Road and Cheryl Land on the wreck, so give them room there. PD activity there. That's an active scene right now with that crash, Love Road and Cheryl Land. On the east side now, this crash just happened, Edgemere and Hickman. That crash just happened. Not PD control. PD not there yet. Edgemere and Hickman. So then there's some closures going on. This one congesting some traffic, a little bit of slow up here. I-10 west side of Ghost Side where you take away the right lane. But add to that, I-10 east at East Lake taking away the right lane. So that backs up the traffic there to about maybe the Southern Park, not quite the Southern Park area, maybe to Artcraft there on the I-10 westbound lane. So just caution in those areas. And Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, tell our listeners about English as a second language classes at UTEP.
You know, the thing about it is that the reason that I like teaching that, Andy, is because Hispanics, they have a fear of speaking. They get embarrassed and they have a fear of speaking English, because people will make fun of them. They'll poke fun at them and stuff like this. So it's not their comfortable language. So they feel very uneasy there. So I like to take that uneasiness away from them and say, hey, you know what? Let's just talk. Just speak. You may not speak perfect English, but you're speaking English. Let's just talk English. Just do the best you can, and then I'll correct you here and there, correct some little things there. But the thing is that class starts underway January the 17th, Saturdays 9 a.m. to noon at UTEP. Information, you can register at 747-5106, Andy.
Charlie One, this afternoon we have Jonathan and Drew with us. They're with Truvize Financial Planning. Now, do you remember some years ago when there was glide scooters around the UTEP campus?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Glides about scooters. You still see them. You still see students with scooters that are electric scooters.
Yeah.
And even some that are on electric skateboards, on those battery skateboards, doing the skateboard thing and battery powered. So you still see that on campus.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Charlie One, Jonathan and Drew were the founders of Glide, and they're telling their story of that. And it's related to the UTEP, where you teach English as a second language. And I think it's related to traffic. So do you think that El Paso would be a better place if we were all riding around on electric scooters?
If everybody rode one of those, that's a tall order right there, because you got to have, first of all, the only people I see at UTEP using the scooter, you got to be kind of young, you got to have that balance in your body and everything. You got to have the balance. I see young men on the scooters. Once in a while, I'll see a lady, I'll see a girl on a scooter, but mostly I've never see anybody middle aged or older like me on a scooter, because you just need that balance, But it's you gotta have that balance to be on a scooter.
Yeah, and if everyone was on a scooter, we wouldn't need a traffic report anymore. That'd be really sad.
Well, then you'd have ambulance reports, because they're going to bump into each other. They're going to collide. That's for sure. There's always going to be speed, no matter what you drive. You're going to have somebody speeding along. So.
Yeah, very funny. Thank you, Charlie One. We'll talk soon.
Okay, you bet, Andy.
Yeah, and we're back with Jonathan and Drew, Truvize Financial Planning, but telling more stories of the Glide electric scooter business. Charlie One brought up a great point, just people hitting each other and things like this. I can only imagine what the liability insurance of this business was.
Well, that was one of the reasons why we exited the business, to be honest. And then the other issue is that no matter what kind of restraints you would put on the scooters, and, they had speed limits and caps, and we had recommendations to wear helmets, and there's all kinds of things. There were some times these scooters would come back and you're like, oh my goodness, it's in two pieces, and this is like, and you're just hoping that person is okay, and we never had anybody seriously injured or anything like that we're aware of that came back to us. But we regulated that and worked really close with the city and the surrounding businesses to create geo fences to keep people out of certain areas. But it's we did hundreds of thousands of rides, and it's just those few bad actors sometimes. And that took it a little too far.
Yeah, that's so interesting because this is kind of what we're talking about. Is Jonathan, you were saying, or you both were saying that when you plan for a business, when you do that math, you've only predicted half of the problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was I assume between riding down the boardwalk in beautiful San Diego and welding these GPS devices on the front of the scooter and all of that, you begin to, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into?
Yeah. There's so many times that we'd kind of be blindsided by something that we never thought would have been an issue and ends up being like, this is the issue. Yeah. And I think that's another thing, Drew, talking about problem solving. In that business, and probably in every business, but this particular business was very unique in the fact that when certain problems would come up, they were life or death problems for the business.
Sure.
This thing's done if we don't fix this now. Right. And it's constant.
Right.
One after the other after the other.
Yeah, so you were saying you spent 8 months building this business, bootstrapped, you're paying for it out of pocket. 3 days after you launch the business, you see that the big national player has come into town.
Yep.
How did you deal with that?
Well, again, coming back to we're on a Christian radio show, it was just God that opened doors for us with specific people in city government, with powerful people in city government, with powerful people in planning and inspections and other things that were also Christians and that just were on our side. And they believed in us, and they believed in the fact that we cared about El Paso, that we weren't just some random company coming to
trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah. So that helped, and again, God just opened doors. At the same time, it's already we haven't gone very far in the story, and it's been a while, so I'll fast forward a bit. Right. But so that all happened at the end of 2019. Well, 2020 was the COVID year.
Sure.
Yep.
And that was a whole other animal that really hurt our chances to do what we wanted to in the bigger grand scheme of things, which we wanted to be the company that would go into the smaller cities that the birds and the limes weren't really interested in. But at that time, 2020, city governments and universities, that was the last thing on their priority list.
Sure.
They're trying to figure out how to deal with COVID and all the new regulations.
So you were looking to move outside of El Paso.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. We actually won Fayetteville, Arkansas, and the University of Arkansas contract.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We
some big ones.
We won some big ones. That was because of an inflection point for us, because the insurance premiums on that policy that we would have needed would have been so high. That would have been like full on start funding with, venture capital and doing it. So, and one of the other companies we won that contract with, they went that route. We decided to stay local and just really focus on solid operations and making money, turning a profit, which was not an industry norm. So.
No. And again, when you look at other startups and you look at Uber and you look at
they've never made
Tesla
money.
and others before, many of them for years and sometimes ever have not made profits, yet they continue to raise money. And the capital they're raising is the thing that's actually keeping the business alive, because investors and they believe that at some point this is going to turn into a massive return.
Okay, well, so we can't just brush over what you just said, because you're financial planning, Truvize Financial Planning. And when you were running a business, you were looking to turn a profit.
We had to.
We didn't have a choice.
We didn't have a choice.
Okay, so now when
these
you're
other
talking
companies
with
these other companies have what's called a runway.
Right.
And they will raise, call it again, I'll use Bird Lime as an example, a $50 million Series A. What that is the first big round of funding where they go to all the big hedge funds and other big players and they raise capital and sell off pieces of their business.
Right.
And so in that case, let's say you raise $50 million and it hits the business account. Well, now if your burn rate, that's another one of these terms, is $20 million a year, they now have 2 years plus worth of runway, worth of money in their account, that they don't have to make money. They can continue to plug that money into research and development and putting scooters in El Paso and putting scooters in wherever. We don't have that, right? We bootstrap the money just to get it started. And again, we have our own business. We're trying to feed our families. Our third partner had a regular W-2 job. Like we can't do that. So we need to make money right away.
Right. So my question is, as financial planners, when you're working with clients now, does this experience affect like maybe where you would direct them to invest their money?
Here's what I would say from my own personal perspective is it really gives us a solid understanding of what it takes to take an idea and bring it to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people have a lot of really good ideas, but there is a gap between what it's going to take to get it to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just mainly because of social media and TikTok and, shorts and all that kind of stuff. And so it allows us to come in and say, hey, this idea that you have it could be a good idea. Here's what it's going to take to actually get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're your financial planner, we can come in and say, this is what it's going to cost you. This is the potential cost, not necessarily just financially, but to your financial livelihood. This is the amount of risk you're taking in doing this. And then you can decide and you can make a much better educated decision as to whether or not you want to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think the truth is about owning a business is it's glamorized and it's fantastic. It can be amazing, but it's extremely challenging and very difficult. And it's even more challenging to turn a profit and do well.
Right.
Sure.
So you don't want to go into that kind of a venture without proper expectations.
Yeah,
of what
and
it's gonna take.
and I want to say that that there is a need for optimism when you're starting a business, and there's also a
100%.
need to consider the cost of building a tower. And it's so useful to have someone who come along the side and be like, okay, you have this whole list of things that you're worried about. Allow me to give you another list.
I saw a podcast a few weeks ago with Jensen Huang. He's the CEO of NVIDIA, which is the most valuable company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking to him about what he's done. And he said, if I had to go back and start again, knowing what I know now, I would not have done it.
Yeah.
Even knowing he's going to be one of the richest men in the world and you're going to have the most valuable company in the world and in the history of the world, he would not have done it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because there's some ignorance is bliss optimism of if we would have known, we wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which is good.
Right. So you were starting to win contracts outside of El Paso, and COVID started, which of course put a wrench in everything. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, well, and once they opened up everything for scooters because they were outside and it was a good activity, Glide exploded, did very well. Well, it was right around that time.
Okay, Glide exploded, did very well.
Yeah.
Define that a little bit.
Well,
for us.
I mean, we were doing more rides than ever. I mean, it was crazy.
And it was here in El Paso.
In El Paso. We were still only here in El Paso.
Just to give you a little tidbit, our app was ranked in the App Store because of so many downloads in the Apple Store App Store. We had well over
internationally or whatever.
Yeah,
App Store globally.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
We had well over 100,000 unique users of our app.
Wow.
I mean, it turned into something really awesome in El Paso. Hearing Mac Daddy Del
That's
Norte
crazy.
say
That's
he's
great.
never heard of Glide
Yeah.
made
That's
me
crazy.
sad because I'm like, man, it's because we hadn't been here in 2.5 years.
Mac Daddy
Yeah.
wants to weigh in.
No, I think it's just my weight, like Charlie once said. It's not for bigger body.
Hey, the scooter's easier to get around, bro. Let's go.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, I mean, it was a huge thing. And again, thank God we, even through all the struggles, coming back to on the finance show that we're on, making our money back, making some profit, actually having it be like, all right, this is something. It never turned into what we had hoped it would be because the plan was always get into a few cities and then go to the Birds and the Limes of the world and say, we make money, buy us. Because we know you guys don't make money.
Oh, that was the plan.
That was
And
the
we
plan.
were 12 months late. If we had sold 12 months early, the industry would have had the capital and bought us up. It would have been pretty amazing.
And it would have been what we thought.
But we were 12 months late, and as we're calling all these companies, they're like, in fact, without naming any names, we got all the way to the final stage of selling the company to a global player. 2 weeks after the agreement's done, news comes out, they're shutting down all their U.S. operations. And we were like, what? Like, what's going on? And we were dealing directly with their CFO, and we were wondering, he kept flying back and forth to the Middle East. And it's because they were trying to raise money, but venture capital had completely run out at that point, and everybody was saying, scooters are dead, they're not going to work. So we were just a little bit late, even though we weren't making money. But we're proud of what we accomplished.
And that's another lesson there.
By God's
Sometimes you
grace.
see some of these huge companies and these huge brands, and they are on the edge of going out of business if they don't raise another round.
Right.
And that's what we dealt with there, and it was just timing.
Right.
But again, the lessons were invaluable, and the memories, the things that we went through were incredible.
Right. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool flex. You had over 100,000 unique
I think
users.
we got up to 200,000 unique
We may have,
users.
That's pretty amazing.
With no marketing.
And
It's crazy.
El Paso isn't a small city, but still,
No.
that's a lot for
It's a lot.
For El Paso.
Yeah, for
exactly.
El Paso.
Yes.
That's amazing. It sounds like you made some money.
Yeah.
And then what was the end?
You know what? The end was that once that deal went through, we decided just wasn't operationally sufficient for us to keep going. We just decided to, hey, we can try and plug this along and make this get through we were going through a little bit of a rough patch on rideage and scooters and all this kind of stuff. And we were like, we can dump more money into this and keep it going, or we can say, hey, that was a fun ride. Let's focus on
something
the
else.
next
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you closed up shop.
Yep.
I just have one hanging question I never got the answer to. Were you picking up the scooters like in a truck and taking them back to the warehouse?
Man, that first week was intense, bro. I can remember eating Whataburger at 3 a.m. after picking up all those scooters and tracking them down.
The very first night that we put the scooters
Am I
out.
right? Is that what
Yeah,
you were
we
doing?
did.
The very first
Yes.
night that we
Yeah.
put the scooters out, we were in the other partner, Ernie's old truck. That's where we were that's how we were transporting the scooters and putting them in
We bought a
corners.
trailer for like
Yes.
$5,000 or something like
And,
that.
Did you get any equipment for White Sands for that?
And I remember we were all sitting there on our phones looking at the app waiting for somebody to be the first ride.
Yeah.
And so that was, I mean, again, really awesome. But the stories of what happens though when, especially in El Paso, who've never seen these things, people say, "Oh, I guess people just left these there," and they steal them and take them home.
So the first thief was this.
Not understanding that you know exactly where the scooter
Yes.
is.
Exactly. And the first thief was this little old lady who worked at El Cometa, who put it in her van, and we had go to her work and like get this scooter, and she was very nice about it. She gave it to us right away.
Yeah, it was a. She wasn't trying to be bad. She just thought it was.
So it's like,
Maybe 50-50.
yeah. I mean, somebody left this, I'm taking it.
Yeah. They were
And-
nice scooters.
Yes.
Well, I
Yes.
don't know. Mac Daddy might know. I mean, when I see something, I assume it's someone else's.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we had
You
a
just
couple
have scooters
yeah.
everywhere, and people think it's just like a blessing.
Yes.
along with the other 20 right next to it.
Yes.
But we had a couple of instances that were probably shouldn't have gone where we went in certain areas of town and recouped them from drug houses.
I mean, craziness.
Oh, so
Andy,
you didn't call the
craziness.
police. You guys were doing this
No,
yourself.
police
the
didn't
police
care.
wouldn't do anything,
They-
so
yeah.
we just went.
You guys just have your shades on, and you're like, we're from Glide.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is we personally and then our team hunted down so many scooters at the onset, and then we put signs on them that said that they were tracking, and that cut down a lot of the theft. But
It's a little bit funny
Yeah.
you didn't think of that from the get-go. But
people didn't steal them anymore after
Yeah.
that. And
Oh,
one
wow.
of the issues we had when we tried to sell the company is nobody could believe how few scooters were getting stolen.
Oh.
And it's just because we had such a good eye and watch on them. And then I think just culturally people accepted them. And it says a lot about El Paso too, that we just,
There we go.
we don't have
There
a
we
lot
go.
of of theft when it comes to like drug addiction and the things that they would want out of the scooter.
True.
So
And I think it also goes back to coming back on the finance part of the show again, because we could not lose the scooters. We didn't have the money to lose scooters. We had to do desperate things to make sure that we didn't lose them. The other companies around the world that were raising other people's money and had plenty of it,
They had like a private security crew.
it was just a line item.
Oh.
They would just leave them. They'd leave a city
just
and there's
lose
thousands
15,
of scooters.
20, 25% of their fleet
They would
a
just
year.
leave the scooters in
They're
the
just
city.
gone.
Yeah. When Bird left Tempe, they just left them in piles. There was hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. It's craziness, man. But
That's
you know,
hilarious.
we had a very different look, and you know, ultimately that kind of stewardship of the cities is what led these companies to not do well and go out of business, because the cities were just like, no. And because we chose to go the other route, by God's grace,
That's
we just
super
never had
cool.
that issue.
Yeah, that's
you know?
super cool. You just respect the city
Yeah.
leadership, think about what's best
And the city
for
of El Paso
people.
and the city leadership we dealt with,
They were
they
awesome.
really came through for us and honored that on their end.
Yes.
So
And I think it's a good lesson for, again, anybody listening, starting a business, and we talk about it on the other times we're here. You should know your numbers, not just because, you know the numbers, but because if you are valuing those dollars, if you are valuing those numbers and just letting them disappear into thin air of how the heck, why am I not making money? That's a lesson that all of us can learn, that we learned and will continue to put in practice, is that can be a big difference between your business and another big business down the street. They're going to have a lot more loss because they feel like they can than you will, because you're going to be very diligent and be a good steward of the money that you have.
I love that. I love that. So many takeaways from this. We only have a few minutes left, so we're not going to be able to get into Breaking 100. I think we do need to talk about that sometime in the future,
For sure.
because
Yeah,
I think most people will just see a giant hole on the east side of El Paso.
No, for
we
sure.
call it Mad Max down there.
It's just a giant hole.
For sure. I think that needs to be another show, because there's a lot of lessons that we learned in
very
that
different
that we had
ones.
no idea, even going through the glide scenario.
Right.
And so it was a very different types of lessons, very different things that we probably should have known that we didn't know. And that one also a little bit more about culture and management and a lot that we could get into.
Okay. So we'll do that at some point in the future. Today we were talking about Glide.
Yeah.
You are currently Truvize Financial Planning.
Yep.
Now you're doing this financial planning thing. Is there a part of you where you're like, I see some great opportunity?
Negative. And I am much more, like we talked about at the beginning, I am much more of like, always, what other things? But the financial planning business was not just the thing, like a thing, right? It was, that's our career. That's what we do. That's what our whole life, when it comes to career-wise, has been from the time both of us graduated from college. And now 16, 17 years into it, it's more of how can we make this particular part of our career be that business and grow that business and put the time and the effort in there. Because not only we can see that it can be lucrative for us, but also just seeing it help and change people, help people in sometimes one of the most intimate parts of their lives, which is their money.
Yeah.
So we love that, and we're doing that.
Okay.
Not looking anywhere else.
And there is something to say, I believe, with my whole heart after these experiences about focus.
Yeah.
And being able to devote, because we're zero-sum game, right? We're only capable of doing so much in our brain power, our thinking, our time. And so being able to focus on Truvize, that is definitely our desire and our goal. And being able to devote all of our time completely into that and growing it into what we want it to be is powerful. So
That's super cool. I'm chuckling at myself. When I was living overseas, I was running a farm. I was a TV prank show host. I was running a small trucking business, a real estate agency.
Yeah.
And I had written a book in Russian, and I was doing business seminars. And it's been interesting being here at the radio station, focusing all my energy on one thing. And kind of what we were talking about today is there's so many problems you would have never thought of, and that's very true at a radio station. I did not know there were so many working parts, but there's so many different ways to use creativity in one thing and really sow into that, invest in that. So you're doing Truvize. I know our regular listeners hear about you throughout the day. I think that it's a fantastic just conversation for people to get you know a little bit better. For those who are looking for financial planning, and particularly for if you're running a business or looking into retirement, all that, it's truvize.com, or you can go to kelpradio.com. Just scroll down to that Impact Partner section. You'll find Truvize Financial Planning. The number there is 915-502-0096. So we had Glide. At some point we'll talk about the Mad Max Breaking 100 golf driving range here in El Paso. One takeaway from your Glide story that you want to leave our listeners with.
I think one thing I was going to say when you were mentioning about Truvize, part of the reason why we're focusing on business owners is because we realize while doing that, I cannot imagine doing that while also trying to think about my own personal finances, investments, taxes, where am I going to be in 10, 20 years? Like if somebody would have come and talked to me about, I'm like, bro, I have everything focused here.
Sure.
So that's why we exist. That's why Truvize Financial Planning is focusing on that, is saying you do what you're doing, you focus on that. We know how much time, stress, mental energy that takes, and we're going to help take some of that off your plate on the other side.
Very cool. Very cool. Drew, do you have a takeaway for us?
Yeah, we got another hour? No.
Yeah.
No, just to put it briefly, we did think that Glide was going to be this tremendous financial success. And I'm very proud of how we ran that company and the effort that we put into it. And God gets the glory for that. And he turned it into a completely different kind of success.
Yeah.
We had an image of what it was going to be, and it ended up being something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson that I take away from it, is just that we do things to be obedient to the Lord and the things he's called us to do. And pretty often it doesn't turn out exactly how we had pictured it, but the blessings are usually so much better than what we could have even imagined. Yeah. And they're not usually of this world if we're doing it for the right thing. So
I love that. And I just love one of the takeaways I got from the conversation was just you saw a pain point here in town. You're looking at how you could solve it. Of course, you want to turn a profit, make some money, but you're looking at doing it in a way that would be useful for the city, not just swooping in and making a big buck. So I think we can all learn from that as well. Thank you again for coming in, Jonathan and Drew. As we always say, let's learn to love our city and through business as well, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.